Do you have any tips for food prep that help people that you can
I
recommend?
I do. If there's all kinds of new gadgetry out there. I will say that kind of one thing that revolutionized the whole prepping world, and it's YouTube. If you just look on YouTube, oh my gosh, is the freeze drying industry. Harvest Right has done an amazing job making it so that people can put like 20, 25-year-old shelf stable food away. I mean, you can garden something. I can grow a whole bunch of peppers over here and I can make it shelf stable for 25 years. And I'm not a special lab. I can do that in my home, which is amazing. So those are super expensive. I can't, we bought ours before COVID, so I can't imagine what the price of those are now. But I would say the two things, if you want to put together shelf stable food, if you don't know how to do it, it's not hard. Again, YouTube is your friend. Canning, and everyone learned how to do it during COVID because of all the things that were happening in the grocery store, right?
Right.
If you haven't learned how to can, it really is not that hard. It's really not that expensive. And you can grow food, whether it be out of the ground or in in a pen, and animals to process, that's a whole nother story. Or hunt. You can take that food and make it shelf stable for several years if you learn how to can and if you invest in a dehydrator.
Hmm.
Those two right there. We've been before dryers came along. That's how preppers were doing it for a long time. And those two options are still very cost effective these days. So,
Yeah.
but
You know,
what do you think?
well, and I agree with you on all that. And I think the freeze dryer, I wish I would have, maybe Harvest Right wasn't around when I first got into preparedness, but I wish I would have not been as intimidated by the price and made it a priority to save up to get a freeze dryer. And I tell people, like, I have a large Harvest Right. And
Mhm.
the large is kind of a pain in the butt, right? Like you need a 20 amp circuit. There's some things that go with it, and you have to have the room to put it. I am such a fan. If I had it to do all over again, I'd probably get the small Harvest Right
Mhm.
because you can put it on a countertop and they generate heat. So you got to think about that if you're keeping it in your kitchen. But it plugs into a 110 outlet. You don't have to do anything else. And it gives you the ability to, if you're making up like I make chilies all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a bachelor. I'm hanging out in my house. So I'm just gonna make chili and eat on that for 2 days. But I can make chili and I can throw it in the freeze dryer, right? Like go hunting. You go out, you go hunting, you get a deer, you can freeze dry venison. There's so much that you can do with it that I think it's one of those preps that if people were to get it early in their preparedness, or if you're a young person that's just getting into this, like that is the thing that is going to pay off in dividends over the years. Because
Absolutely.
if you go out and buy a year's worth of freeze dried food for your family, say like Legacy Foods or whatever freeze dried food
Mhm.
place, you're looking at 5 grand, maybe, maybe more, maybe less. That's the cost of a freeze dryer.
Exactly.
Maybe more. It's more. I think the smalls are in the 2,000 2,500 buck range, and depending on if they have a sale going on or not.
Right.
I think that is the prep that personally, that if you have your own place, that everybody should look into getting at some point. And the
So,
earlier the better.
oh, absolutely. And if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I need to think about doing this. Yeah, go Harvest Right is kind of, they're the big ones right now. So you bring up a really great point. And here's how the kind of the next step when you're in prepping goes, and this is how it worked for us. I'm going to give people a vision here. So I joke about you can only prep for each person. Like for me, when you get to about the 6 month mark, your every crevice of your home is taken up. All the
Yeah.
closets, you don't have any room for clothes, and you cannot prep enough food for the rest of your life. I mean,
Mhm.
not that we want to do that, but at some point you have to say enough. And then you have to start thinking about, and we've kind of hinted at this, sustainability. Like, and we all saw it happen during COVID. Like, what can I do to grow and make my own food on this piece of real estate that I have, whether it be, you know, pots on my porch or a garden at the back of the house, or if you have, more land. So we do chickens and we do gardening. So here's how that works. It's like, like right now, I get way too many eggs right now. So I freeze dry them. So I've just gone from making my own food to making it shelf stable for 20 to 25 years. And then I just put it in a tub and I label it and I now know where all the freeze dried eggs are. So that's how you can start developing systems where you're actually making in your own preparedness food. And especially if you're into gardening and if we don't, I'm so sorry, but there's always that person that it brings you zucchinis in August because there's so many zucchinis. Well, freeze dry them. That's food right there. That's free food when then people start giving it to you because they have an overabundance of it. And you may not like it or it's too much. Freeze dry it. That's good. That's good food. And if you think about how much that would cost in a grocery store, it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I was turned on to freeze drying. A buddy, and this was going back probably 2012. I was in Baghdad, and a buddy his in-laws bought a freeze dryer for him and his wife on the terms that they would freeze dry food for him because they were in their preparedness.
Mhm.
But we were eating crap over in Baghdad. We were getting like all this stuff from Turkey, full of it was full of processed food and stuff that we would eat in Chow. So his wife would freeze dry just all kinds of stuff. We were over there. We'd get flour and we'd make pizza dough. And then she would send over all the ingredients, freeze dried ingredients, because they're so light, they're easy to transport.
Mhm.
I also like it from, we were talking about the food sensitivities. Well, you don't have to worry about that when you're
Right.
prepping all your own food. You can control whether it's, the GMO. I mean, I harp on this a lot, but like, you got Bill Gates with putting I think it's a peel on all the vegetables and fruit now that, it's like, oh, it makes it stay fresher longer. I don't want your chemical on my stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And so you can do all that yourself, and you don't have to even have your own, if you're not into gardening, there's farmers markets, there's farm shares. If you live in an
Yes.
agricultural area where farmers, will sell their stuff, there's different sites that sell bulk quantities of food.
Mhm.
There's ways
Absolutely.
to make that happen.
And here's another, yes, you're singing the praises of freeze drying. Here's another one that I've done too, is that because every now and then a prepper will ask me, so how do you prep for your dogs or your pets?
Mm,
So can't buy food, buy the food that you can. But and I think it was a year and a half ago, there was a shortage on dog food. I didn't notice it,
yeah.
but here's the key to that one. So look out there on your little Facebook marketplaces, all the marketplaces. There's always somebody who during hunting season, hey, I'm giving away freezer burnt food or meat from their freezer because they need to make room for their hunting. So I go to that person and I ask them, yeah, I'll take your free meat. They're going to give it to me, and I freeze dry it, and that's dog food.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of things you can do, and absolutely you can absolutely freeze dry the things that you eat, which is great because then you can really avoid some of those food sensitivities. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, when I was in LA at my dad's house before I moved to Texas, and hanging out, and my sister and brother-in-law bought him a dog. So,
Mm,
corgis, I guess it is. Corgis are cute when they settle down, but they're kind of a. I'm used to golden retrievers, man,
yes. Yes, you
and
are.
yeah, and corgis aren't exactly a golden retriever early on. They're kind of a pain. But where I was going at with that is they were buying this food for them that's really healthy food. It's by this guy, Dr. Marty is the brand. I guess it's really popular. And I was looking at like, oh, I'll get that for my dog if it helps him be more healthier. And then I looked into it, and it's like I don't know, 5-pound bag, 10-pound bag, 5-pound bag, I think it was. It's like $35. Like, what is it? Like, are they, this is gold? Like what's in this? And I started looking at it, and it was just like you said, it was, different kinds of meat. I think it was duck and a bunch of different kind of like good meats.
Mhm.
And it was all freeze dried into
Freeze-dried.
pellets. And I'm like, this is just freeze dried meat with a
Meat.
few vegetables in it. And they're charging $35. You could totally do that, just like you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And dogs don't care if it's free. And then what's cool is you can add steamed carrots, not raw carrots, and rice and stretch it out. So you have meat, you have vegetables, and you have a little bit of a rice, and you can you can actually make your own dog food literally and then freeze dry it. Super light. Dogs love it.
Nice.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I know one of the people that works on Mind for Survival with me, Chris, she has a freeze dryer now, and before that she used a dehydrator, And so she would do and she lives up in, up by Pennsylvania where they get, all kinds of apples fruit.
Hmm.
And so, there's what you always see. It's on Fox. They always talk about it. It's these, the vitamins that are all apples and or fruits and vegetable vitamins. I can't think of the names of them. So she started freeze drying the vitamins, turning it into powder right through the freeze dry, I guess mixing in a
Hmm.
blender or something. And she got little pill capsules. And so now she goes, oh, I get, all these nutrients from, fruits and vegetables through capsules that she takes. She goes, I don't like eating a lot of vegetables. So
Yeah.
another good side of it.
Oh, absolutely. Totally recommend. It is a cost. So just know that's what that
Yeah.
seems to always be. Yeah. And especially after all the talk we had about inflation, money is tight, but it is worth it if you can get get your dollars together for that for sure.
Well, and I think it could save you a lot of money in the
Yeah,
long run.
absolutely. In the end, yes, absolutely. In the long run, it will save you money for sure.